imagine life in the next millennium.
The Council has decided to risk another mission to 1989.
You can go anywhere. Look anywhere.
I may not make it back.
This is the hard part about looking for time travelers. They don't want to be found.
Chris Christopherson and Cheryl Ladd journey through time in Millennium, Friday at 9:30 on BBC One.
Former Sex Party hostess Cynthia Payne begins a new series on BBC Two now, talking about the ornaments that adorn her celebrity mantelpiece.
Last July, on a waste tip in Surrey, the body of a man was discovered. The only clues to his identity were tattoos of a champagne glass, dice and the ace of hearts. Who killed him and why? In London, a rapist armed with a knife attacked and robbed a woman in her home. We need your help to catch him. And might you recognise the leader of a gang that raided the wages office of a factory in Hull, terrorising the staff? That's Crime Watch UK tomorrow night at 9:30. We'll be waiting for your call.
Now on BBC One, your points of view.
Hello and good evening. Our nanny's been at it again. Here are some of her charges. Ouch. That was Sebastian. There was also Sally, who bites and pinches, and Joe, who shouts, screams, kicks and thumps. Nanny Smith, 40 years in the nursery, says the best thing to do on all counts is to ignore. You disagreed.
If that child had hit my grandson with a cricket bat or a brush, as in the programme, believe me, I would certainly have taken my hand and slapped him well on the bum.
Other viewers question the wisdom of allowing Sebastian to be filmed with Nanny urging his mother to do nothing. Mrs. P. French of Windsor retorted,
It couldn't have been more obvious what he was going to do with the bat and the broom, yet he was left to demonstrate his behaviour on a poor victim twice. How dare producers allow this sort of thing to happen for the benefit of making a programme?
And Nanny Knows Best is Sunday early evening. Next week, more irrational behaviour, including 3.5-year-old Charlie, who will only wear blue. Another grand old girl was featured this week, known by some as the most stylish woman in England. Nancy Lancaster, legendary designer and gardener, now aged 96, gave her first television interview in An Englishwoman's Garden.
I love lamb, and I'm terribly impressed. You show me an old drunk, if he owns land, I can't help making up to him. Isn't it extraordinary? I mean, it isn't money or titles, jewellery, means nothing. But land, I've got a real lust for land.
Two schools of thought on this series. Some viewers are enchanted by the idea and the opportunity of hearing the philosophy of a series of remarkable women. Others are infuriated.
Seeing a group of old trouts with too much money on ego trips on the TV will lose Gardener's world supporters. Gardening it ain't.
That from R.D. Armitage in Carhampton. Another keen gardener, Dawn Quinn, sent this cryptic postcard.
The Englishwoman's Garden? What a load of compost. So far it's all women and indoors, with plants conspicuous by their absence. Instead of close-ups of Sarcococca hookeriana digyna or Omphalodes cappadocica, we get the profile of Homo sapiens. I long to see the gardens in detail and hear the words of wisdom on planting and planning. It's enough to give us botrytis.
On the other hand, being nursed by Dawn French in Screen One's tender loving care would give you very little time left to live. Here she is as Nurse Elaine Dobbs explaining her beliefs to a confused assistant played by Rosemary Leach.
Only those there's no hope for. Those who cause too many problems for everyone else. Those with no close family.
Why, we've come to that age. None of them got anyone what you call close.
When they've been in for over the 24 hours, and there won't be a routine PM. Doesn't hurt, and make sure it's quick. And the bed's freed up for someone else.
There you are then. Merciful release.
They could never prove anything.
A strong reaction to the play, with some viewers disturbed by its content. Calls complaining it was excessively violent, an insult to nurses and patients, and very unpleasant for any elderly people watching. Mr. M.J. Bullen asked what purpose it served.
If its aim was to frighten the many thousands who unfortunately find themselves in hospitals, what a good job it did. Taking a look at the darker side of one sick individual was more suited to the horror story format.
Mike Etherton of Cambridge took a more liberal view.
I'm 57 and after a lifetime of activity, running, swimming, cycling and skiing, skiing in all parts of the world, I'm slowly being overtaken by arthritis. In 5 or 10 years, I expect pretty much to be a wheelchair case. Please let me know how I can get on to Dawn French's ward for some tender, loving care.
No signs of such defeat in Dad's army. Here, Captain Mannering brushes with the enemy in the form of Philip Maddock as a German captain who's having trouble keeping his face straight.
Right, what you like. You're not going to win this war.
Oh, yes, we are.
Oh, no, you're not.
Oh, yes, we are. Whistle while you work. Hitler is at work. He's half army, so's his army. Whistle while you...
Your name will also go on the list. What is it? Don't tell him, Pike. Pike.
First shown in April 1968, incidentally, and as this card points out.
At that time, the events depicted were about 30 years ago. It's now some 20 years on. Are we really expected to become involved as an audience these days?
A Watchdog special on Monday looked at the effects of other people's smoking on children and how the tobacco industry's advertising, despite all the guidelines, is still attracting young smokers. A number of calls commenting that the subject and the way it was treated was very worthwhile.